Great, so I'm going to talk to you about Socrative. Has anyone used Socrative? Do people know what it is? So a few of you have used it. So, the problem we get as lecturers is how do you maintain concentration within lectures? Okay, you'll often see, and you do it yourself, you'll drift off somewhere else. You'll start thinking about what you're going to have for tea or what washing needs doing. The other thing that we struggle with is how do we actually assess our lectures? How good was the lecture that you've just done? How do you know if your students absorb the knowledge that you wish them to have? So, attention span. How long do we think your attention lasts for? When you start a lecture, how long have you got before their attention is gone? So, lots of people come out with this 15-20 minutes idea, which hasn't been proven anywhere. A recent study from last year came up that actually your attention will go within a minute. When you first sit down and everyone's talking, your attention has gone. You start and the students sit there and think, I don't want to be here. So what we have to do is manipulate our learning techniques to make it interactive, to make sure, to keep trying to focus their attention back at you. Now, how can you assess how well your lecture was? I put this into Google because I thought, how can I actually assess how good my lecture was? And it came up with this quote, which I thought was brilliant. My lecture was a complete success, but the audience was a failure. Okay? So, if we're looking at how to assess our lectures, how well it actually happened, we can use Socrative. Okay? Socrative is an interactive app. Most of our students have now got some form of interactive smart device. They're able to load up. A pub quiz is near enough what this thing is. You can preset it so that it'll come up with certain questions. As the students answer, it will then come up. So you've got instant knowledge, instant ability of testing what those students have understood. Okay? So this can break it up. Now, all the information that you get, all the results, can then be downloaded to Google Drive and uploaded back onto Blackboard if you wanted. So that the students, the questions that you've asked, are then able to look back at them in years to come. Who am I trying to kid? In the next day or whenever we're looking at it. Okay? We can also do quick questions. So if you haven't managed to prepare any questions, you can literally just go on and do quick fire. True, false is A, B or C. Some of our students, we have clinical placements of 9 clinical placements. We can get them into groups and do a space race. So then as the students are answering, they get to see their spaceship fire across. Now it seemed, when I first thought this space race, I thought this is a bit childish. And yet they really seem to love it. It just breaks up that monogamous, just sat there, just looking at the screen, and it makes it interactive. And that's what keeps their attention, and then hopefully lets them remember the learning that you've produced. So, on my lectures, I embed. You can either look at Socrative on the website, you can have apps for it. And I try and embed it in so that when the students are playing my presentation as I speak, they click onto it. Now, let's give it a go. Has everyone got an iPad or some form of device? If you could go onto the internet and just type Socrative in the search, and it will open it up. Try and get this thing to work. So, when you go on to Socrative, go on to student logon, and the internet's died. Great. So, luckily the students sign on with a different login to us. So they always see, I've had lectures where I've got 40 plus students all logged on to the Socrative site. Now, this is what the students would get. Mute. right? So the students log on, and they don't need an account. They log on to the room name that I have given them. From there, the questions will then ping up. So they enter their name. Internet's still down. Is it just my internet?
Yeah, we got it.
I'm not getting it. Oncology.
No, I've got it. Oh, it's come back. So, if you can put on, those that have managed to get onto it, if you put on oncology
What, the room name?
as the room name, yep. Visualise, get a free account, because you've clicked onto teacher. You're not a teacher at the moment, that's my job, you're the student.
Right, I can click on teacher, I just clicked on
So,
sorry, what's
the room name is oncology.
Student login.
Student login, yeah. So, as a lecturer, we've all got Google Drive, Google Access, and that's the login that we would use. So we don't have to create an account, we've all already got one. So the question should come up, and as I click on here, we can see that, there we go, that we've already got this amount of people on here. Now, as people go, we can then click onto individual things if we'd like. How far can a dog run into the woods? And we've all got wrong answers. So you can put on as many questions, as many different types as you would like prior to the lecture. That will then save. The other joyous thing is that when I create my questions, it comes up with a shared number. So if I did a presentation that I thought was really good, my colleagues, I could share that number with them. They put in that number, and it takes all my hard work and it's straight onto their Socrative site. So they would then be able to reuse the questions without having to type them all in. And if we want to go back to the results, once again, we click back. The students find it very interactive, they enjoy it. I start this off on my first lecture. It then gets repeated through every single one. One of the joyous things, I'll view that later, is that there is also an exit ticket. Now, at the end of my lecture, you'll put on your exit ticket, and this is 3 questions that is embedded into Socrative. So ask the students, as you log on, you'll notice the questions that will come up. It'll ask them what they've learned. Okay? It'll say how you enjoyed things. From that, as a lecturer, this is how I can assess what they've learned. Assess if actually, this doesn't make sense, I haven't covered this enough, or my method of demonstrating this knowledge wasn't thorough enough. So, I must have gone over the time.
You have indeed.
I was going to say, my thing's been vibrating away. Does anyone have any questions? It's a free app. Are these presentations going to be on?
Yeah, we're going to make everything available.
So
if you've presented, make sure we've got it.
On my presentations, I've also embedded code and links all the way through them. So if you do have anything, just click onto the site and it will do everything that you want.
Let's do it. Go on.
Thanks, Alex.